wiki software. And I mean, if you build your website on that kind of software, it means there is an amount of openness with how, you know, the website is administered, if I can put it that way. You go to bbc.com, you cannot edit the news that they've put there. If you should go to somebody's Facebook page right now, you cannot edit their status update. The best you can do is to leave a comment. But what makes Wikipedia special as a website, setting it apart from the two examples of other websites I've given, is that everybody can edit. Everybody can edit. Everybody's invited to edit. You can even edit without creating an account. You can use an IP, just your IP, but which is not really advisable, but everybody can edit. And you can create an account now as we speak. You just pick your mobile phone, hop onto the Wikipedia app, and you can create an account for yourself and just jump in. All you just need to know or do is be able to articulate or write in the language that you want to edit, because Wikipedia is it's like multiple languages. Okay, so whichever language of Wikipedia you are editing, of course, you need to be able to write in that language, and that's it. That's it. And so Wikipedia is also free. As far as it's open, everybody can edit, but it's also free. You know, it's certain platforms you have to pay to access information. Certain journals you need to pay to access information. Certain online subscriptions you need to pay after a while of viewing like 3-4 articles. You are being told to pay before you can read more of that. Wikipedia is nothing like that. It's free. Everything on there is free. And even using the text, using the photos is free of charge. Maybe you might want to refer to the text, or you might want to use the photos on your blog. Everything on there is free. And even in terms of ads, it doesn't put out ads, so no ad will be there to disturb you. So it's just this thing that has content written from an encyclopedic point of view, because a lot of times from the way people write on Wikipedia or the expectations they have of Wikipedia, Wikipedia is not like a blog post, okay? It's an encyclopedia. So the tone, the way it's written, everything, yes, it's treated as an encyclopedia and should be used as such. And it's built by everybody, normal people, no special skill sets needed, except of course learning to edit the wiki itself, which is taught by people like myself, Zita, Joy. We go into communities, we teach people how to just get that done. So, and Wikipedia, I should say, is also a product. That's one thing I need to get out there. It's not a company. It's an internet property, a product sitting on the internet that you can contribute to or you can read for free. So you cannot work for Wikipedia. You know, sometimes people say, I want to write for Wikipedia. No, as though Wikipedia is a company. No, it's not. Wikipedia is a product, an online product. Okay, so maybe that when it's time for my colleagues to speak about the movements, then you can get an explanation as to why there are the names Wikimedia aside hearing the word Wikipedia. But Wikipedia is just an online encyclopedia sitting somewhere that you can contribute to and you can also use for free.
Great.
I think,
yes. Yeah, that's an interesting insight. So would like to hear from the powerful Wikimedians of our time.
Okay, so thank you, Sandista, and I want to add a little voice to what she said. I mean, it got to a point you were saying a lot, and I think you've consumed most of the question points, etc. But let me just add a few bits. So Wikipedia, yes, it came as a result of you know, it's a body. We have the body under Wikimedia Foundation. That's the NGO that supports the other Wikimedia projects. And Wikipedia is actually one of the sister projects that is well known. Most people, you know, see it all around, but there are more than 13 projects on Wikimedia that, you know, based on interest and skill sets that we have. We're taking a step at a time to educate people on the other sister projects. I mean, it's a very interesting cycle because, for example, if you want to create an article, you have content about someone and you want to add an image to it, you don't just go to Google and then cut and paste like we do in blogs, etc. But this time around, we have a repository, that's the Wikimedia Commons, that houses all videos, audios, pictures, and you can just use the file name and link it to the Wikipedia article, and it becomes full, complete, and beautiful. So I just wanted to hit on that and also mention that, most people edit Wikipedia because, yes, now it's like the third largest website in the world. And from my point of view, or from our point of view, because we are females, we are also particularly interested because the gap online on the number of articles that exist on women, as well as the number of editors who are also women, is on the low side. So that's how come when we started, I know that the zeal is still there and we want to keep pushing because we want to bridge the gap and ensure that there's good representation of women online. So I would add to the why one may edit Wikipedia, just for our knowledge. Well, Wikipedia creates a fair platform for people to protect their culture, values, and history. So if you're coming in as a Wikipedian, then you should maybe you're coming in from that perspective that, okay, maybe my culture in Northern region is not well represented online. What do I do to protect or preserve it? Wikipedia is that platform. Provided you get the credible sources that you need to back it, you can definitely have it there so that the next generation, our next generation that's coming up, would have access to all the information even when we are not alive. So it's important for us to document it. And Wikipedia also helps us preserve a knowledge and language. It's amazing to know that there are some tools that, because of the audios, you can, put in an audio on how to pronounce a particular word or a language, etc., and it's stored. So what really intrigues me about this whole movement is the fact that it's not paper documented. And I mean, the era we are in right now has really exposed us to the fact that we're going digital at a fast pace. So if all this information that we have is preserved online, we don't have to worry about having a hard copy encyclopedia that will get bent or get destroyed by water or get missing. But now we are preserving all that knowledge a step at a time on that repository. That's why Sandista highlights on the fact that it's a sum of all knowledge. So it is an interesting platform that I will keep encouraging people to support. Wikipedia also serves as an educative storage hub for effective research. I know some lecturers who we have approached through partnership quest, etc., to support the movement, and then some of them, because they don't buy into it, they will tell you that, oh, I don't buy into Wikipedia. I rather prefer that my students pay for information or sources or resources online rather than using Wikipedia. But then in my private life, I use it for my research. So I mean, that question actually, that information actually put that person in a very tight corner, because okay, if you rely on Wikipedia to get sources and support your research, then why are you not permitting your students to use that platform? These are some of the things. So this is why we are also here to encourage you to take up that mantle and keep sharing that information so that people in the educative institutions will understand why it's important to use Wikipedia and also allow students to also use for their research. Yeah, so information on Wikipedia is also accessible and free. You don't need to pay for it. If it's an image you need, you just need to credit or give recognition to the owner of the image, but aside that it's free and open to use. For benefits of the movement, it's diverse. I mean, there are tangible and intangible benefits. But what I always share out there is you have to be impact oriented, focus on the impact. Why are you doing this? I am thinking about the future. I am thinking about the next generation, access to information. We are doing the hard work now because of the better future for the next generation. So I'll just hit on some few points on that. Editors learn how to properly reference and cite claims. You're also able to improve writing skills from differentiating from academic and encyclopedic tone. I know some students, when they are having their masters, they really rely on Wikipedia because of the further sources that they get to find on the main platform. Because if you are to look at the picture very well, editors of Wikipedia have actually made your work easy as a researcher, because we have done all the background search and we've put on the credible and sources at the footnote for you to have your further read and further understanding. It also helps you research and improve your researching skills. When I started editing Wikipedia, I mean, my first attempt, I, I mean, I struggled because I thought it was just, I did it on my own actually. I just copied and pasted, and I thought, okay, now it looks good. I arranged the headings, etc. And then I posted, and I realized that, okay, no, I was given a notification because what I did was wrong. And that did not deter me. I had to learn, go through subsequent training sessions and all that. And I got to understand that there's a difference. Once you're able to adequately learn the skills and the tone that Wikipedia appreciates, understanding biases and understanding or learning very well on how to find particular information or credible sources, it makes you well equipped. So whenever you see an article, circulating somewhere, you know what to look out for. So let me not talk so much. I'll just hand over to some of my colleagues to also share the benefits of being an editor.
Okay, can you guys?
Yes.
Right. So I always ask this question to the participants that I'm always speaking to. And the question is, if you wake up one day and you go onto the internet and you search for information and you have to pay for that information, how would you feel like? Like every piece of information you want to search for, there's a lock on it and you have to pay before that information is released to you. I'm sure you feel very pissed off because we've all become so used to the fact that it's so easy for us to find information online and we get this information for free. But what we don't understand is the systems and the people that put that information out there for it to be made accessible for everyone. So that is just to give you a picture of the value of Wikipedia. If most of you have noticed, whenever you search for information on the internet, the first link that shows up is Wikipedia, which is so incredible. That means that the coverage of information that Wikipedia has is enormous. And so literally any information that you're searching for, you'll be able to get some information from Wikipedia. And so when I first started contributing to Wikipedia, I felt like I was contributing to something bigger than myself, in the sense that I saw the value of free information, of being able to go online and search for anything that I wanted and being able to find that information for free. And so if I have that access, why not contribute to it to make it more accessible to more people? So that was the motivation behind me joining the Wiki movement, which is the movement behind all the knowledge on Wikimedia Foundation project. So in short, what Wikipedia is an online encyclopedia, as everybody has spoken, and it contains information in the form of articles about the things around us, the history, the countries, the culture around the world. And so back in the days, if you needed to find information about a particular country or a person, you needed to go to the library, and there was this shelf of huge books that we call the encartas and all other, there are all other types of books like that. And to find information about a particular country, let's say Germany, you need to go through these books and then read about Germany, which was so tedious. And I mean, these days, who even goes to the library? You and I know that everything is just at the click of a button on your phone. And so Jimmy Wales and Larry Sanders saw the value of, can contribute to it, no matter where they are. Unlike back in the days where the encartas were written by, let's say, a group of white people, today, people like you and me can also contribute the knowledge that we know to building an online encyclopedia. So if you don't see the value of really accessing information online, I don't know what else to tell you to convince you of the value of Wikipedia. Yeah, that's all I have to share.
That's a nice closing remark. All right, so all said and done, we've all shared, we've heard about what the movement is about and what is expected from each of us. So we would like to know how this journey started for all of you. Why the keen interest to become Wikimedians? How did you even find out there was something called Wikipedia and you knew that you could be part of it? So if you could share your journey, first how you got to know about Wikipedia, how you eventually entered or became a Wikimedian, and the journey so far for you. From my screen, I'll start with Joy.
Okay, let me talk quickly. It looks like the rains are gathering. I'm scared of the network. So, well, my journey was quite interesting. I attended an information skills training with the Goethe Institute. That was where I met a colleague of mine who works in the library, and he told me about the Wikimedia community in Ghana. And I was like, okay, at that time, I wasn't really doing anything. And having volunteering in the past, diverse organizations, so I'm kind of used to it. So why not, give off my Saturday to learn a thing or two with the group. So yeah, I joined the group, that's Open Foundation West Africa. And during the time of the training, I think in subsequent weeks, there was going to be a photo walk. And I was like, okay, I love expeditions. So I was like, okay, why not? And I joined the photo walks. I mean, these photo walks are also part of the journey because you get to visit monuments, sites, old, castles, get to meet people, get information, verbal information from community members, understand how certain buildings were, came into be, the history behind it, all in the attempt to improve Wikimedia Commons as well as the content of articles that have already been created. So that's how my journey started. And ever since, I was joining most of their events, and I kept rising through the ranks still as a volunteer. And through that, I mean, it has opened a lot of doors for me, although I'm not currently active in the community because I've moved on to do other things of interest. I'm still connected in the Wikiverse, and I would say that however way you start, just keep learning, keep pushing, and you'll be amazed on how far you would go. Okay, so I'm done. It's not easy, but you have to keep pushing. The passion drive is what would keep you going. And like Zita said, if you wake up in the morning and that question always hits you, I'm sure you would always want to find ways and means to do more, to preserve knowledge on Wikipedia and make it continually free and accessible to everyone. Please, I'm handing over the baton to whoever wants to catch.
I think I can go next. I think I created my account, my very first Wikimedia account somewhere in July. But I would have my first edit maybe in August 2012. It came as an invitation. Me joining the community came as an invitation from a colleague who had also discovered Wikipedia for himself. And he had tried editing, and I think he had looked around and he realized that it's possible to build a community of editors. So yes, somewhere late July, he sent me an invite. And I think whenever I grant interviews, I always say that my first, I think that tweet, my first, encounter with the one who recruited me, Rexford is his name, would have been on Twitter, because I don't remember anywhere else but him sending me a tweet and asking me if I wanted to join, a community or help create a community of Wikipedia editors in Ghana at the time. And it was a yes, a quick yes, very fast, because generally, I'm interested in knowledge. When I was in uni, I did geography. I mastered in geography, or let me say I majored in geography. And while I sat in those classes and I was being taught, the things I would ask myself is, who else knows this? Who else knows this? So I knew that I was, right after school, I was going to enter into something that would require me sharing knowledge or information. And so whether I'm being an author, a copywriter, a blogger, a journalist, it just had to be a career that involved sharing knowledge. And of course, I chose journalism. And at the time, social media was gaining popularity, digital media was gaining popularity. And so my preferred platform for sharing information was online. Okay. And when I heard about Wikipedia, it was like a match, probably made in heaven, as the cliche goes, because here I am interested in sharing information, and then my preferred platform being online. So it was just like that match. It was a perfect match when I discovered Wikipedia. And when you are familiar with certain platforms and you have an interest, learning is not that hard because you have the passion, you have the interest. So I taught myself how to edit. It's like, going around, checking out the pages. And when we started editing Wikipedia, I think at the time, the visual editor was either not there. Your recruiters would speak to you about these things I'm saying, but it looks like you were using HTML, a certain kind of HTML. And because I was already interested in digital media and how blog templates can be tweaked and all those things, when I saw a type text that looked like HTML, I was really comfortable. I wasn't put off at all. So I think through that was when I think Wikimedia made its first case and its first attraction. And I was like, I'm sold. I really want to do this. So I think shortly after learning to edit, the passion or the interest in showing others how to edit and also helping build a community came like the next step, like the next logical step. So that is my story. A tweet somewhere late July, early August or something brought me to the community. And a lot of the things I learned were self-taught. And it's been like that from day one. And I still find myself here. So maybe Zita, you would want to go next.
It looks like Zita is encountering a network problem, so I'll just jump in here. So I first heard about Wikipedia during my orientation in 2011 at the University of Ghana. I was just told not to reference any article from Wikipedia, and that was the first time I heard about Wikipedia. I'm like, what is Wikipedia? What at all are they saying that we shouldn't reference? And throughout my 4-year stay in University of Ghana, I just realized that I was actually benefiting from Wikipedia, because anytime we are given an assignment and you go online, you find that when you read some of the articles or whatever pops out on Wikipedia concerning what you are searching about, you find it's very easy to understand, and then you're able to go about your assignments very well. So this misconception took on, like, don't reference any article from Wikipedia, and it keeps on going on. So you actually use something from Wikipedia, but you don't reference it. And luckily, I had the opportunity to be invited to an event on Wikilabs Women, and Zita was the one who invited me to the event. And at the event, I met Sandesta and I met other Wikimedians who have been contributing on Wikipedia for a long time. And that was when I was exposed to what Wikipedia is, and then what actually it seeks to do. And this was eye-opening for me, because here are lecturers telling us not to reference any article on Wikipedia, but they also don't know the other side about Wikipedia. And I found it a task to take upon by first encouraging other people to know more about the Wikipedia, and also changing the misconceptions about this. So I first started with the lecturer I was working with in the first, when I was doing my service. I informed him that, so after 2011, I got to join the Wikimedia movement in 2016. That was during the Wikilabs Women. So I told the lecturer about what is happening in our country now, and at least I had him change his mind concerning that. And we are hoping to get more lecturers involved. So the journey has been quite interesting, because it's an eye-opening experience for me. And to me, the people I met who were already Wikimedians were very knowledgeable. They speak to you, and then, like, you wonder where they read from, or where at all they are getting their knowledge, because we are in the same country, we are in Ghana, we are even in the same region, that is Greater Accra region. So where are they getting all this from? And then you realize that they actually take the time to learn and then read, to contribute these articles that you find on Wikipedia. So to you, you might just be creating articles, but you are actually gaining a lot from what contributing articles on Wikipedia. And that is how it started for me. I started creating articles, and then I started reading, because you don't just write anything, but you have to read and produce something that is credible enough. And then I got exposed to other sources of information. So when you are doing your project work, you know very well that, well, there are some bogus places where you can get some information. There are some credible places where you can get good information from. And to be able to contribute for like 6 years now, it's not just going to be easy, because then you have to make the conscious effort of contributing, and also identifying with the vision, or the goal of the movement. Like Zita and Joy rightly said, to make knowledge accessible. I also realized that in our country, the only way we gain experiences for jobs are through internships and probably national service. So what happens if you don't have the opportunity to intern with the company or to have national service? Volunteering is the other way to go, and we are yet to find people tapping into that because you don't really get much to them. You don't get much, but I realized that you gain a lot from volunteering. And like Joy said, there was a photo walk. You go on photo walks with people you've never met, or you will never had the opportunity to meet. So what is much more exciting than this? And then you also get to explore other projects of the Wikimedia community. To me, it was just Wikipedia, and then we go on a photo walk, and there's something like commons. I held the camera for the first time, and I took a picture, and they were like, "Oh, you are good." And then I realized, okay, if I take this the interest of learning how to take pictures, I might was gain a skill in photography. So photo works from then it grew, and then I've been taking other interests as well. So there's so much for everyone in the Wikimedia community. Don't just restrict yourself to Wikipedia, but there's so much. And what you need is just to make the conscious effort towards contribute to learn more, not just to contribute, but to learn more about whatever you found, which is Wikipedia and the movement behind Wikipedia. And I would like to suggest then, so when I started, it was quite very difficult to contribute because it was like, what's the motivating factor? Well, I'm contributing for someone somewhere, but what is it? What can I do to contribute more? And then it was like, why don't you try 5 edits in a day? So every day you try and create 5 articles or make some 5 edits. And that is how it got me to sit down and then edit. And I recommend that students who have internet access and are on campus is a very good place to start, because when you go out, if you don't make that time, it will be very hard for you. So while you're on campus, make good use of the free internet that you have, and also explore. There's so much out there for you. Thank you. Over to you, Zita.
Thank you, Harriet. So for me, how I came to discover Wikipedia and how the journey is going so far for me, it's been like a roller coaster ride for me. So unlike Sandista, I did not discover Wikipedia from the editing point of view. I first discovered it through, I think, the community. And I was drawn to that during my passion for volunteerism. So this is how it happened. I was still a student in Legon, and I was studying information technology, but I was, that kind of busybody kind of person. So I was, aside schooling, I was doing other stuff. I was taking a training in mobile web development at Mobile Web Ghana, which was close to school. So, and alongside that, I used to volunteer my service to other things. Like I helped organize the Live Boy Hand Washing Day for, I think, was it the year 2015 or so. And so through that experience, I made a friend. Her name is Ajara Mahmood, and I think she's currently in China. So she came to learn how passionate I am about volunteering. So there was this opportunity that came out, I would say. She got to meet Raphael Berchi, and he told her about a project, a wiki project that they were running, and they needed like some females to join them to organize and reach out to senior high schools to come do trainings for them. That project was called Wiki Needs Girls. So Ada recommended that I join them as part of the organizing team. So that was how I came to discover the Wiki movement, just like that. And so through that project, I learned how to edit on Wiki fast because I had the kind of like the programming background. So it was easy for me to kind of quite grasp the concept of all that very fast. And I had the opportunity to, reach out to senior high schools and be there with them to train them. And because I was young then, I felt I was making an impact in the lives of these young ones, because they're just looking at me. I'm just like them, and I'm doing this. You know, I felt it would inspire them to also not just focus on schooling, but also focus on discovering other aspects of life. Joining communities, having the passion to learn new things aside, schooling. So after that project, I have been consistent editing on the various projects, and I've also led several projects on my own. And yeah, the experience hasn't been all that smooth. There has been challenges here and there, but there was a point I felt like just giving up, the whole thing and just focusing on other aspects of my life. But then again, I think about it and I feel like when you start something, you need to continue in that area till you see the change that you want to see. Um, so no matter the challenges that come your way during that journey, it's you don't have to give up until that impact that you want to make has been realized. And so with this kind of thinking, when challenges were coming at me, I was rather thinking that maybe this is the right place for me, you know, because whenever you're trying to do something great and then you encounter so many challenges in that area, I feel like those challenges are actually coming to strengthen you and make the story more impactful. So while the challenges were coming, I was more inspired and I was just doing all that I can to, still do what I love to do. And God being so good, today I have had so many opportunities, and I'm currently having a job role with WMF, which is amazing. But the most amazing thing about this is the community of people that I work with. I've come to grow this fondness with them, coming together on, normal days or monthly, and just doing the things that we love to do, which is to contribute to the largest sum of human knowledge. This is an experience that I value so much, and I value it because of the people that I do it with. That's it. So over to you, TB.
I'm not a panelist. I would have shared my experience on how I came to contact with Wikipedia and all, but I'll still share it. So one time a friend asked me, because they know I'm into tech and everything, he came to me and he was like, "Oh, do you know how to edit on Wikipedia?" And I'm like, people actually edit on Wikipedia. And I knew that, but then I thought it was a long shot because it maybe some people sitting somewhere doing their own thing. So then when he said that, immediately I told him, okay, I'm going to learn how to do it. And he said, okay, if you learn how to do it, come teach me, I'll pay you for it. So I go on Wikipedia and I go and research on how to edit on Wikipedia. And it gave me a long list of instructions and so forth. And your article is going to sit there for a while, up to more than a month for people, somebody to edit before we post it. And then eventually I just closed the tab and I went back to the Ghana. Like, it's a whole lot of process. And then we laughed about it and we just talk, and then that was it. Then until the Art and Feminism project came up, and we had to apply for it. And when I realized that we have to learn about Wikipedia and everything, I was like, yes, this is the opportunity I was waiting for to actually learn. And sometimes I brag with this more that I edit on, I know how to edit on Wikipedia, but actually still not there yet. So yeah, that's my story about my encounter with Wikipedia. So sorry, myself, I'm inspired by your stories and how far you have gone. Sometimes I wish I would be like Sandy Star, Joy, and even Harriet when she's teaching how to use especially Wikidata, and it's all plenty in my face, and then I just say, Solomon, please follow. Because I tell, okay, Solomon, do Wikidata, I'll do Wikipedia. Because I'm just not getting anything. So it's quite interesting, and I would like to also keep um, learning more. So at this point, I'm sure participants will have questions for you. So we have some nice ladies here, I'm sure, who are secretly admiring all of you over there on the other side, and they wish they'll be like you. So I'll give the floor to them if any of them has any questions they would like to ask. So if you want to ask a question, you mention your name and then you ask. Nobody wants to know how they can stand on. Somebody has a question. Please come close. Yes. Did you hear her? So she wants to know how long it would take someone to learn how to edit on Wikipedia.
Huh. Well, if I can take that question, I think it's as long as you want it to take, and as long as generally your true interest will also carry you. Because I've been editing Wikipedia for a long time. Just around that same time, I had an interest in HTML, but now I can edit Wikipedia while sleeping, basically, and I still haven't finished my HTML lessons. Though these are all things that were of interest to me in about 2012. So you can see, it's really where your interest is, and if it's really what you want to learn how to do. And I would say that even now, it's easier to edit Wikipedia than some years ago, because we have something they will call a visual editor. That is what you see, what you get. It's almost like a web processor. You are typing into Microsoft Word or typing into Pages if you use Mac. Very simple. It doesn't have any, scary parts about it. So I think it will take as long as you want it to take. And also it will go as far as your interest carries you, because sometimes you may like the thought of something, but you really don't want to put in the work, or it's fancy. It's a nice community to be a part of, to identify with, but your heart is really not there. So it becomes bothersome. It becomes like work or house chores or something that you don't want to do, and you will lose interest. So I think that currently the Ghanaian community, as you can see, very diverse, has grown. Every corner you turn, whichever of the user groups you prefer, it's like there's help everywhere now. So as for the teaching and the learning, is going on. You'll find mentors, you'll find people to help you. So that has been cleared. The rest will be really left to you. If you want to learn it today, I mean, knowing the strengths of the various panelists here, someone can teach you how to edit Wikipedia today. You can get your first edits today. You can even get your first 100 edits today if you want. But it's really as far as your interest will take you and how long you want to spend learning this.
Yeah, just to add, yes,
And just
like
a
what
little to
Sandra
add to
said,
that.
you can learn how to edit today, but then the sustainable factor is important. That's the drive as well. Because like just like what Harriet was saying, you can discipline yourself and say that, okay, I want to edit, maybe make 5 edits a day. It's up to you. You can make 5 edits a month. It's up to you. But then once your interest, on high, you can continue to edit anytime that you want. And also, I would say that learning how to edit Wikipedia doesn't end. Every day is like there's something new, something hidden somewhere. I say that because I'm currently the international programs coordinator for a Wikilabs project. And I mean, trust me, what I have learned in the past 6 months, I didn't know of it. And it's interesting because my interest is there and I'm always ready to learn more. So yeah, that's what I want to add. You can just keep pushing once your interest is there. Keep learning on your own as well. You'll be fine.
And a little skill that I use in learning is actually trying to focus on a particular area. The problem with most students is when we are being taught something, we tend to focus on one area and we don't really
Is it my network? Oh, I can't hear anything.
I think it's one because she dropped.
The weather.
Sorry, I dropped off. So you need to identify a specific area that interests you the most. So if it is Wikidata, you focus on Wikidata. If it is adding categories to articles on Wikipedia, you focus on that. If it is adding references, you also, focus on that. But if you want to be everywhere and do everything, then you probably get exhausted. So just pick something little that intrigues you, that you find interesting, and then start from there. And like everybody else said, it's the passion that drives you to keep on going. Without passion, you're going nowhere.
Okay, so on how long it takes to edit, I think I'll suggest grammatical errors in the sense that we do write, and it's not everyone that has the passion to write from scratch or take up interest and sit down and then write from the word go. But I know people are very particular about punctuations and all, and just as we have articles on Wikipedia, there's a need for punctuations, and also you could start. It's not about just having to create an article that makes you an editor, but once you know very well how to what punctuate write-ups and all, then you could start up with that, and then you pick up from there. Maybe grammatical errors, there's something wrong here, a fact that has been wrongly written, or you could just pick up from there, and that is editing as well. So don't just look at it as I have to create an article from the word go. Maybe it's just a little paragraph you want to write about, and that is it. And with what the visual editor, it's very easy for you to contribute. Yeah.
Ah, um, Speaking of punctuations and grammatical errors, so I have come across articles on Wikipedia with really bad grammar, like sentence, wordings. It is, some of them were really bad, and I'm thinking, so if people were actually proofreading these things and before they came out, or they were being the word edited or approved before they were published. How come these errors are going out? Because I've really read bad articles on Wikipedia. And I'm sure that's why lecturers don't want their students picking stuff up. So if you can help us with that I don't know how that works, because I know Wikipedia is really particular about these things. So how do people manage to get by it?
I can take that one. Is that a question or is it a statement?
It's a
It's a question.
question.
Okay. As far as accuracy and proper written expression on Wikipedia is concerned, I think the first thing I would say is, sometimes Wikipedia, the time that someone publishes what they've edited and the time that it gets discovered by a more experienced Wikipedian or a Wikipedian that is able to express themselves better in a particular language than the one who actually did the first posting. Sometimes it could take seconds to minutes to hours and even days. Now, in terms of getting by, it depends on the type of, if I call it misconduct, maybe it might be like, stretching it, but let's say whatever the person did that was not supposed to be done on the wiki. In terms of vandalism, we have something we call vandalism, like people just don't edit out of good faith. They go and maybe everybody knows that I'm a journalist or a media person. And then someone will go and edit my article and say, I'm a doctor, just to make fun and all of those things. There are systems in place that are able to catch such, naughty inputs, but not so much of, written expression. Maybe there's a preferable way of saying it, and then, you will put the sentence in another way. I would just say the inaccuracies and the issues that comes out of people's grasp over the language they're editing in and whatnot, there are priorities. If it is about vandalism, where you go there, you just wipe somebody's Wikipedia page, among other things, majority of those things are dealt with immediately because people are just there waiting for you to come and misconduct yourself, if I should say. And then they fix that. And even with the help of things we call bots, for the experienced Wikipedians here, they will know what it is, but bots, robots that are just designed or coded to be able to detect some of these changes and roll back what you have done. So there are mechanisms, but like I said, if it's about bad English, I have seen bad English on there too. If you would go to Akan tree Wikipedia, you will see some questionable tree there too. But if it's about outright misinformation, if it's about people, and it's not that information that has maybe become outdated, no, but someone actually just with a lot of audacity goes on there to commit vandalism. For that, I would say it doesn't slide quietly or quickly like that on the platform. Like it doesn't just slide by. People notice and people fix. But for the bad English, that I can agree with you. Sometimes, people have certain ways of writing English and, sometimes two words and there was no space left. Those ones can linger for a while. But it's not intentional. It's not like people don't care or no. Actually, there are people with a lot of articles on their watch lists. There are people patrolling the pages. There are people and bots looking at we have something we call recent changes page. Some people make it, that's like Zita said, you have to find what makes you happy and what you are able to do on the platform. Some people are dedicated to that list, and every change that comes on Wikipedia, they just go and see and just make sure they can just fix the article in whichever way they can. But one thing I would say to sign off is these problems on Wikipedia is the main reason why we are in this meeting in the first place. To recruit more people, to recruit more ideas, to recruit, a bigger community, a lot of hands on deck so that we can keep some of these issues off up until we hit 0. Yeah, so that's what I can say to that.
All right, so does it mean that assuming I search for an article, I'm searching for something and I see an article with some sort of a bad grammar, I can just edit it, see that I've also done a few edits myself on, I can just go on and edit. Will that also wait for approval before the edit is
no, it will not
I don't know if
wait
you
for
get my
approval.
question.
I get your question. It will not wait for approval, but just so I can give my colleagues an opportunity to address some of these things. If anybody wants to take it, or I should just continue. Anybody, Joy or Zita, wants to take the question?
Okay, so with regards to that, yeah, you are improving Wikipedia. Okay, so I mean, grammatical error, I mean, it happens. So once you see it, you can always edit it. That does not need any approval. But then, like we're talking about the board, if there is any wrong information that you have put to change the text or the context of the message and it's wrong, it will be checked, because as and when you improve upon an article in the edit summary, you declare what you did. So in as much as we want to ensure that there's right information that is on there, it will be reviewed. Once it's wrong, it will be taken down. An example will be about this Wachija thing that came about on Reggie Rockstone's Wachija issue. And someone edited the page of Wachi. And in that edit, the person didn't state that the types of Wachi packages. So the heading was wrong. And the person was just putting that information as though Wache, its origin came from blah, blah, blah. And then there's Wacheja, like it just came out of the blue. There was some wrong wording in there. So what happened was that these editors, these administrators, they get that notification and then they see the wrong input. So once they see the wrong input, they'll just make a rollback. But it's not like you are waiting for an approval on spot. No, once you're improving a Wikipedia article, it gets verified later on, or even just with random editors like us would chance upon it and then improve upon it. But then if you are creating an entirely new article, that one, there are lots of eyes on it, because Wikipedia is very passionate about the kind of information you put in there. So I usually call it the garbage in, garbage out. If the information you put in there or create is false and has a lot of issues with the citation and the sources that you use to create it, it's definitely going to go down. That's when you say that, okay, it's gone for review, gone for approval. And like Sandista said, it can be reviewed in the next second. 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 months, however way, it's going to be reviewed. So that's the distinction that I'd want to give. Yeah, improving articles, you can improve. You can always improve. But when it is wrong, it will be rolled back or it will be tagged for vandalism.
Okay, thank you. I don't know, Harriet, Zita, do you have anything to say with this?
Yeah, so I'll just summarize all that my colleagues have said. In what they're actually saying in summary is that the levels of, should I say, mistakes are categorized and priorities are given to each. So if you make grammatical errors, the level of priority given by administrators is very low. But if you make vandalism, which is like just going on to Wikipedia and trying to cause to cause damages to a particular article to make it either sound promotional or sound as if that is not the truth, that would be termed as vandalism, and the level of priority given to that by administrators is very high. So in that case, if you keep vandalizing articles, there's a probability that administrators can ban you from Wikipedia. But if you keep making grammatical errors, I don't think that any administrator can ban you for that. Because at the end of the day, they understand that most of, everybody's on Wikipedia for a different reason. Some people are just on Wikipedia to improve their writing skills. So once they start editing, it's likely for them to make so much grammatical errors. But as time goes on, as a person, you are supposed to improve in that area. But if you keep making the same grammatical errors, then you are telling administrators that you're actually not interested in improving. So then an administrator can take an action and probably, not give you the right to edit certain articles. So that is just how it works. I hope that gives more clarity.
Yeah, but all of you were talking about or were mentioning administrators. Who are the administrators?
Before someone answers that question, I also need to add that one of the other checks, in addition to everything that we've said, to just make sure that the people editing Wikipedia, we are assuming that they will be doing so in good faith, is some articles, if you've noticed on Wikipedia, have this protection or padlock symbol in the corners there. It's because those articles belong to entities or personalities with a lot of controversy and usually attract a lot of what I'll call the naughty editing, or what Zita says, vandalism. So that is sort of also locked or protected so that people who have not been on the wiki for that long cannot edit it without, let me say, that kind of approval. Because at the end of the day, you just created your Wikipedia account, and then suddenly this contentious article or this article that has controversy, that's the first article you would want to edit. So sometimes through research, science, and an understanding that the community has of vandalism and people who usually come there to distort things, some articles based on that knowledge and those learnings are protected. So that is also one of the measures, one of the checks that I can mention that helps to keep the encyclopedia free from the issues that people who are accessing it for schoolwork and serious work worry about. So please, the question about administrators, who they are.
Yeah.
Okay.
So are they WhatsApp administrators? Are they like admins?
There is a list which I think will be more useful if the facilitators of the editathon that will follow will share with you. I'll drop a link. It includes all the user access levels that Wikipedians have. If you ask me what access I have, I belong to a class of people known as, I think, extended users. I've been a confirmed user, and I also have event coordinator rights, which means I can create accounts for people who attend events in case they are facing problems. We have people who are check users, and therefore admins, it's like everybody has a user access level. So admins, I'll say being a staff of the foundation, usually I learned that it's not necessarily regarded as a hierarchy where, oh, if you are without a title, it means you are not important and admins are the ones who wield all the power. No, that's not the issue, but it's a user access, or it's a user level that you ask for and you use because of the interest you have in specific tasks. So an admin did not become an admin because they are the oldest users or they have some special power. They just realized that they want the ability to delete pages, to check users, to check vandalism, to be able to ban and block certain users because of misconduct, among other things. So then you go for that right. You go for that user access, and the community confers it upon you. I think there is a vote for that. So as I'm here, I can recruit somebody who will become an admin, and I, the one who recruited them, or even taught them how to edit, I'm not an admin. So I will drop a list in the chat shortly, and I think you can add that to the literature, but there are different user accesses or user levels. And it's not necessarily treated as a hierarchy, but it's just, what do you need that access for? You say, okay, my interest is in checking vandalism. I want to be able to roll back vandalism. I want to be able to delete pages when the pages are too promotional, like Zita said. I want to be able to create accounts for people when they come for events. Something, if Joy doesn't request for that access, Joy doesn't have that access, okay? But if Joy says, hey, I'm an event coordinator, I've conducted facilitated about 10 arts and feminism events. Anytime the people come to the events, after creating a couple of accounts, they say because of IP issues, checking, spamming, we can't create any more accounts. So now give me access to be creating accounts for people. That's a user access, a type of user access that you request. So all of them are there for people to actually request for, and a decision will be taken to be given to you depending on the type of work or your type of focus. Like Zita said, you have certain areas of specialty or focus that keeps your interest up. So if you're that person who is just constantly looking out for vandals, constantly looking out for pages that have been created for promotions, you are going to need certain access or certain rights or levels of use to help you be able to keep vandalism and all of these things that are not welcome on Wikipedia, help to keep them off. So I will drop that link in the chat shortly.
All right, thank you very much. Zita, would you like to say something?
I think Sandista has said it all, but the little I'll add is that in every community, there are supposed to be, like the people that have, should I say, roles in order for them to focus on a specific work that they are doing to ensure that the community stays sane and we are able to achieve our goals as a community. So imagine that the editing community is just made up of people who create articles. There are no people that are focused on reviewing these articles, and these articles just have to go into main space. I mean, we would have a chaos encyclopedia. So that is why in the wiki community, we have like access levels, people who play different roles and have different access levels to do certain things. So we have the reviewers, we have the patrollers, we have administrators. Presumably administrators have like the highest access level. So they are able to ban users. And like I always explain to you guys that because you are newbies, mostly when you create articles, it doesn't go into main space, but it goes into the draft space. So that is the kind of access level that you have. When you become more experienced editors, you're going to gain more access where your articles, the articles that you create, might go a little bit into the reviewing space. Right now, when you create an article, it goes into draft space and you have to submit it for review. But as time goes on, when you become good, you'll be moved into a different access level where your articles can go straight into reviewing stage. So that is basically how it works. There are certain access levels that you don't have to apply for in order to get it. But the more like contributions you make, the more valid contributions you make, the system automatically gives you those access. But there are also certain access levels that you need to apply for, and you need to give strong, valid reasons why you think you need those access rights. And one of those is the administrative right. Currently, I don't think there's any Ghanaian that is an administrator, which is something that I hope will change in the future. I think it's actually, is there an African that is actually an administrator? I don't know about that, but I do hope that someday we do have that.
Okay, so Sita, you said that after a while, you become after you are a newbie. After a while, what would determine, wait, the right word? What will show, or who determines that? Well, you are an experienced editor now. Now your work will no longer go to draft; it will just go to mainstream without main page, without having it go through editing or something.
So I think that there are, I don't know, but I think that there are some administrators that kind of monitor the contributions that you make, but automatically the system also keeps track of all the contributions that you make. So if your contributions hit a certain level, a certain number actually, you're given access, automatic access, like your access level is increased to something else. Like Sandista mentioned, extended confirmed, or is it confirmed extended? I've forgotten the term. But yeah, so that is basically how it works. Some administrators would be the ones to give you that access by just monitoring your constant contributions, and others to, it is a thing that is programmed into the system such that when you hit this number of contributions per se, your access level is changed to something higher. Does it make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
everything that is being mentioned here can be accessed via the link I've put in the chat. Like Zita said, some of them, the system notices that you've been on the wiki for 30 days and you've had a minimum of a certain number of edits. It's conferred upon you. But those are the very basic ones that just allows you to perform the basic functions. But like she said, for the ones that concern being an admin, deleting a page, being able to delete a page, rolling back edits, and a couple of other things, some of those ones, you would have to stay for a while and you would have to like apply or request, no, we'll call it a request for it and justify what you need it for. And yeah, you get it. But yes, being an admin means that you have a lot of those accesses. You have a lot of those. I think recently I was inquiring for my colleagues at work that does that mean an admin should have every other access? And I was told no, but yeah, this document is the one-stop shop for every detail on which of the user accesses you might be interested in. And it's in the chat.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing this info. All right, so we still have to go for a break and then we'll dive into the editing session. But before we go, are there any last words for our participants? What would you like to say to them? You know, we are children. We'd like to hear from our role models to see if there are some words of inspiration, what we should look out for, those kind of stuff.
Okay, I will go first. All I will say is that some of you are here you're just curious, okay? There has been research that discusses people's motives for being Wikipedians or people's, I can remember a few, some some people are just so excited that they edit and they can see their edits live. Like that's like their high. That's the only high they need. Others also say, you know what, it would be a good thing to tell people that I edit Wikipedia. Wikipedia is internet property, is one of the most visited websites in the world. To be able to call myself a Wikipedian or a Wikimedian is like my flex, it's identity thing for me. Others will also just look at the world around them and be like, just not also determine who is ignorant and who is knowledgeable. Because, you know, sometimes health, money determines who dies and who lives. So people carry on that principle and say, no, in terms of knowledge, why should people, you know, not have knowledge because they can't afford to subscribe for a website or an encyclopedia? Wikipedia is for free. So I support that mission. Okay, and that's why people even donate to the Wikimedia Foundation so that they can support its upkeep, because they believe in free knowledge. They think it's one of the things that the world should have. So the motives are many, the motivations are many. Some people also think it looks like some kind of paid gig. Wikipedia editing in itself is not paid, because the moment I start paying you to edit something, sometimes it creates a conflict of interest situation. So Wikipedia and paying for edits, no. But you can have a career around, you know, Wikipedia editing and community organizing, but you are not being paid for the specific edit things that I think pop up when people are thinking about the reasons why they would want to associate themselves with the wiki. You need to figure out what exactly is the reason why will carry you from now till whenever to stay to leave, or if you are staying in this movement, for ask questions of the people who are recruiting you, so that you don't get frustrated. Because people have come into the movement and people yeah, it's just because they didn't find Wikipedia was the person who they do.
Okay, I think Sandista is off. And let me just add a bit to what she said. So I want to encourage each and every one of you listening to us that you have to adopt the be bold factor. Experience are bold. You need to continuously try your hands on things, learn from your facilitators, worry them. I used to do that. Worry them a lot. Try to get all the skills that you need. And even if you make a mistake, just get up again and then keep pushing, because Wikipedians are bold, and it would improve or change a lot of things about you, how you write, your interest in reading, it increases it, your quest to research adequately and get the right information. What I also say is that you should also be ambassadors. Sorry, be ambassadors, because once you are learning, you need to try and pass on the information or the knowledge that you have shared. Because a typical example I always say is that, what if one day there's an information about someone, there's an update that's supposed to be done, and everybody is sleeping, and you're the only person awake, and that edit is like, it has to be done as soon as possible, or maybe everyone forgets. Because you're a Wikipedian and you know how to edit, I mean, it's easy for you to just jump on it and then edit. And there's no fast rule about it that, okay, you're the first to edit or the last or whatever. No, just be willing to support, be an ambassador. Whenever you see information circulate, people do that for propaganda issues. Like, it happens just to create, humor around and give recognition to some people who are not so, known in the society. So once you see that, you should try and debunk it. Be the voice. Let people know that this is wrong, this is right. Let them know the right way to move. And also, you should also, especially for the women or the females, I want to encourage you to keep that energy, because per statistics, female editors are still on the low side, in as much as you're trying to push. I mean, started editor. I came to meet a lot of, all of you. I'm actually like the, the baby editor here, the baby Wikimedian here. I met Zita, um, Harriet, Sandista. Yeah, and we are still pushing up because we understood what we're doing and we had so much passion for it. We still have so much passion for it. So whenever you see any from it, if you're interested in editing about female articles, there are so many women groups on, in the Wikimedia space where you can check on their sites. They have list of red links. When I say red links, it means there are articles that have not been created yet. The fact that the person is not a Ghanaian doesn't mean that you shouldn't, try to improve upon the article. Once they have sources to it, credible sources, you can be bold enough to do it. And thank God for Sandbox. You can always play around your article, ask any of the facilitators to just jump in and help you. Yes, you can jump in. You can use a code, and then wherever I am, I can go into your Sandbox, review your article. Once it meets the criteria and it's good to go, we tell you and you publish. So it's like we are open. So you need to also have an open mindset and desire to keep doing more. And the last thing I'll say is about the be bold factor is I met this actor. I can't believe I've forgotten her name, but she's a Ghanaian, Ivorian kind of. And I met her at a fashion show. Once, the moment I saw her, I checked up on Wikipedia because I'm a Wikipedian. I checked on Wikipedia about her. I saw her article and then I realized that, okay, the information is quite okay. I mean, that's actually who she is. What has been covered is about her. And there was no image to it. So what I did was, after the program, I met her and I told her that, you know what, have you seen this article? It's about you. And there is no face to the article. We don't know who you are. You can go to Google, search for your name. There are so many of your name like circulating, but how will we know that this is actually you? And she was like stunned at the fact that like the picture was not there. And I told her, okay, you know what, there's a beautiful curtain behind us. Let's stand there, pose, let me take a good picture of you. And thankfully, I got a very good photo of her. I'm sorry I've forgotten the name. I have so many things on my mind. Forgotten her name, but I was able to take a good photo of her. We had our selfies and then uploaded it on Commons, and then voila, her picture is there. So it's, I mean, you have to be bold. You have to try your hands. Once you're passionate about it, there's so many things you can do. And the more you do that, the more you can also take up from your leaders, the facilitators, and get to a point, there'll be rotations. You learn how to present. You meet various people, network of institutions. You have to make a presentation. No one will teach you, but through your passion, through the zeal, you realize that you are, attracting a lot of leadership skills to your portfolio. You'll be able to be bold, to share, to be the voice. But then at the end of the day, it should be with decorum and respect. So yeah, I think I'll leave it for my colleagues to add more. There's a lot to say, but yeah.
You want to go ahead?
Okay, I'll just go then. You go next. I love Joy's last point on taking a photograph of the actress and then posting it there. And this brings me to what I want to say, the fact that it's not just Wikipedia, but there's so much for everyone there. And everyone out there, there are so many other projects of the Wikimedia Foundation, and it's all geared towards preserving knowledge and also making it accessible for every other person in the world. And I also like to point out to the fact that it's a cycle. We first met someone and then someone tells the other person and then it keeps growing. So it's not like it's just kept to one person. And it brings me to the concept of network marketing, where we tell people that I found something good. If you should also join, you are going to benefit a lot from it. So from Rex to Sandesta, and then Sandesta to other people. And it's the same with Zita, from Zita to me, and then to other ladies around, and from Joy to other ladies as well. That is how it is. It grows from there. So, like she said, we should be ambassadors. What you found, you need to share it out to other people. And you're not just sharing it because you've heard, but because of the value you find. And that is the same value that might drive other people to join in the movement, and also learn more, because they're not just only going to give, but they are going to receive. And there's so much you can receive from being a part of the movement, and also contributing on not just Wikipedia, but the other platforms as well. Thank you.
Okay, sorry, but just to jump in, I found the link. I actually went to my contributions and it's Pascaline Edwards. So if you see the photo, I use my ordinary Nokia phone. Yeah. And I took that photo of her, and yeah. I think if you should rate me, I don't need to brag, but I tried. Yeah.
Okay, so my final words be I hope we all know that like 5 years from now, or even 10 years from now, the things that we see around us, the people, the incredible people that are impacting history, they are not going to be with us anymore. Or the culture of the different types of people in Ghana that we are experiencing today might not be in existence 10 years or 20 years from now. It's the same way the history of Yas and Twelve, Kofi and all those great people that helped to create our nation are no longer with us. But we have the privilege of reading about them and knowing about these stories and what life was back in those years. And we have this privilege because some group of people wrote about them. Some group of people saw the value in documenting the history that Ghanaians possess. And as a result of that, we have been able to read about them. So look at it from this point of view. Anything that you contribute today is going to be on Wikipedia for 10 years to come, 5 years to come. Excuse me to say, even when it is time for you to leave this world and progress into the next, your contributions will still be there. And the next generation will be the ones to read about this information. What could be more cooler than this? So jump on board, join us. Let's do what we can to document the world around us for the next generation.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, wonderful ladies. I'm actually glad that we had this conversation today, because it's really cleared some doubts. You see, I was asking a lot of questions, even more than some people, because I think I'm finding some interest in the whole thing. At a point, I thought I was going to get money from being a Wikimedian, but from Sandester's point of view, there is no money involved. I can only brag with it. So, but can I teach somebody how to edit on Wikipedia and charge the person if I can't charge for writing an article about you? Either ways, I need to make money.
I think, I would just quickly add to this that within the movement, so here is what our relationship with money is like. When you are learning to edit, I'm sure you'll be taught some of the guidelines of Wikipedia. And one key one is known as COI, or conflict of interest, where if you are too close to the source, as in you are the PA of the person you are writing about, you are the mother of the person, a relative, boyfriend, husband, girlfriend, it might put you in, it's assumed that, okay, you are too close to the topic and you might not necessarily be objective. And so in that same way, when someone is your bank ruler or someone is giving you money to write, it can also come off as you are writing what the person wants you to write. You are not writing in an encyclopedic way, which should be to the benefit of the audience who are looking for middle ground information, looking for objective information. So that is why Wikipedians, we are volunteers. We just contribute the content and we are not paid for contributing the content like that. However, I mean, when we all started, yes, when we all started, we were not even looking at money. But now I can tell you that, listen, if you want to build a career, and I think I mentioned it earlier, that if it's about building a career, finding a job that pays you because you are in the movement, it's possible. It starts from Wikimedian or Wikipedians in residence. I won't let it drag. I will drop a link and later you can find out who these people are. You can be paid to be a Wikipedian or a Wikimedian in residence, okay? People are paid to be attached to cultural institutions to be able to do some work concerning Wikipedia. And the affiliates in Ghana, for example, some of us are non-profits. Non-profits pay staff, they pay contractors, okay? So it's the editing of the Wikipedia in itself that is like a volunteer gig for reasons I've already explained. But to build a career in open knowledge, to build a career in the movement, that's possible. I mean, I'm staff. I work for Wikimedia, so it's possible. So if you want maybe compensation for your time for in the movement, you can position yourself, career-wise, job-wise, contract-wise, to make use of it like that. But for the editing of Wikipedia, the spirit of Wikipedia, no, all of us, we edit Wikipedia because we want to, because we see something wrong with information, because we also know that Wikipedia is not charging anybody a dime to access it. I mean, there is an enterprise version of Wikipedia coming up, but that one is not even about the public necessarily. It's about the big corporations and the big tech companies who are using Wikipedia to power their smart speakers and whatnot. So there is an enterprise version of Wikipedia coming up, which the community can follow conversations about. But for the ordinary people like you and I who go on there just to find what Patapa's real name is and those ones, or how many kilometers of coastline we have in Ghana, we are not charged for that. And so we as the volunteers also, when we are contributing, we don't have money on our minds. But you can build a career in the movement, okay? You can.
Great, great. Thank you so much for that insight. I'm really glad because I'm actually joining Wikipedia for the money, So thanks for that insight.
Well, but work hard at your volunteer skills, your volunteer abilities, and your contributions, and building a career out of being in the open knowledge movement generally, not just Wikipedia. That is possible.
I'll do virtual volunteering with COIF, and then we'll take it from there. All right, thank you so much, ladies, for this opportunity. It was such a privilege to be amongst great women like yourselves, and you've been an inspiration to all of us here. And we'll look forward to more engagement with you in the future. But we're just moving to, we'll take a short break, then we'll have the editorial session and then we continue. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. Harriet, how about we come back in 10 minutes? to continue. Is that okay by you? Hello?